Hello everyone, welcome and welcome back to my channel. My name is Juliet. So in today's video I will be showing you how to make the upper part of this lovely dress. So here I have my fabric is folded into two using my bust measurement divided by 4 plus 2-inch allowance, 1 inch for that and 1.5 for zip. So here I'm marking 1.5 inches all the way down. This is the zipper allowance. I'm using my ruler to connect them together. So next I'm going to be placing the front piece on top of the back piece, which is 1.5 inches shorter than the front. So the front is folded into two using the bust divided by 4 plus 1 inch that and 2 inch of allowance. So I'm going to place the folded edge exactly on that zipper allowance line. So I will be drafting both the front and the back pieces together. So I'm placing the front piece on top of that line on the back piece. So first I'm marking the shoulder measurement. So I'm marking my shoulder divided by 2 and I'm starting from that front piece. So shoulder divided by 2, I have 18 divided by 2, that is 16 divided by 2, and that is 8. And then I'm marking armhole of 9 inches. So down here I'm marking 8 inches again to get a straight line, and then I will use my ruler to connect both points together. Next I'm using my armhole curve to curve my armhole. So next on this front piece I'm going to mark 3 inches inwards, and then on this armhole line I will come down by 1/2 inch, and then I will connect to that 3 inches point in a slant that will form the shoulder slope. So next I'm marking the neckline. I'm working with 3.5 inches for the neck width, and then for the neck depth for the front I'm marking 4 inches. So the front neck is 3.5 inches wide and 4 inches deep. So I've connected them together. I'm going to curve the front neckline. So next for the back neckline I'm marking 1.5 inches. So if you notice, the back neckline is going all the way to the zipper allowance. It's crossing over to the zipper allowance. I'm going to be curving the back neckline as well. So back is 3.5 by 1.5. So next one I'm marking my shoulder to nipple, and then shoulder to under bust, which is optional, but for the shoulder to nipple we'll be needing that. So next up from that front piece I'm marking the nipple to nipple I'm working with, which is 8 divided by 2, giving us 4 plus 1/2 inch, making it 4.5. So I marked 4.5 from that shoulder to nipple line all the way to the half length. And then I'm marking 1/2 inch on both sides from that line. So I'm connecting the 1/2 inch point to the shoulder to nipple point, and then on this shoulder point I'm going to get the middle. I have 5 inches there, so the center is going to be 2.5, but I marked 2 inches. So 2 inches from the armhole in, I'm going to be connecting that to the shoulder to nipple line. So using my ruler I'm going to connect that to the shoulder to nipple line. So next up from the front piece I am marking the bust measurement I'm working with divided by 4 plus 1 inch of ease, 1 inch for the dart, another 2 inches for zipper allowance. I'm going to mark the same thing on the half length line. I will be taking the accurate measurement much later, but for now I'll just mark the same thing on the half length. So next up, on this back piece, I'm going to locate 9 inches from the shoulder, and then on this half length point I'll go in by ½ inch and then connect to that 9 inches. So because we are going to be cutting that part out, we need ½ inch to join it back together, so I'm adding ½ inch to the shoulder, and then we're going to be carving a new armhole. So next I'm cutting, starting with the shoulder slant, and then the armhole. I will also cut the sides. Next up, I'm cutting the back neckline. Cutting the back neckline first, then I will lift up the front piece and cut the front neckline only on the front piece, like so. So next I'm opening the back piece into two, and then I'll be cutting out that ½ inch we went in to give the back piece a bit of shape. Next I'm cutting the shoulder dart. So because I'm cutting front and back together, I'm going to be adjusting the back piece later on, but you can cut the back piece separately. That way your dart will stop at 9 inches from the shoulder and not on the nipple point. I'm going to be adjusting it later. So here I am writing F for the front side pieces, which is the part that is up. So F is for front. I'm writing them down because if you don't, you may get confused at the end when you start sewing. This is the back, so I'm writing B on the side pieces for the back, so I identify them, so I can identify them later on. So because I drafted the front and the back pieces together, I'm going to be trimming the back piece. So like I said, your darts on the back can stop at 9 inches from the shoulder. If not, you can just trim off this curve like I'm doing here. So next I'm marking a new zip allowance line. Remember we took out ½ inch, so I'm marking another 1.5 from that end, and then I'm connecting it to that 9 inches from the shoulder. I'm going to take it to the machine and sew the zip allowance down before we continue. So after sewing the back pieces together, the zip line, this is what I'm having. I will iron it flat, and then we'll go on to join the shoulders. So here is it, all ironed and looking flat and smooth. So I'm placing the front piece right sides together, the front center piece right sides together on the back with the back piece. So I'll pin the shoulders down, and then I'll go and sew them using ½ inch allowance. Next I will pin the side pieces together, right sides together, so one back on top of one front. So if you had labeled yours like I did mine, you'll be able to see which one is for the front and which is for the back. So you pin one back on top of one front, right sides together, and then the same for the other side. So after sewing, I am going to iron them. As you can see, all the shoulder pieces, I'll open the seam allowance and iron them flat. So after ironing, I'm going to measure from one end in the front to the other end at the back. You can multiply that measurement by 2 to cut the ruffle on the shoulder, but in my case I had half yard of plain chiffon fabric here, so I just folded that into 2. Chiffon is by 60 inches, so half yard folded into 2 gave me 9 inches wide, and then by this length by 60 I folded again into 2, which is about 30 inches. So here I have the piece folded into 4. We're going to be cutting 2 of them at the same time. So from this end now, I'm going to make a curve to connect to this other end at the top. So your curve does not necessarily have to be as curvy as mine. You can just slant straight from this top to the other end. So I'm going to be cutting it out now. And also you may not need as much as 9 inches at this top. You can do less, you can do 5, you can do 4. But I had half yard and I just used all of it. So here I'm opening up this other folded end. That way it will be divided into 2, and then we'll have 2 pieces for both sides. So here we have the 2. Next off, we're going to go hem the other part. This curved part, we're going to go hem it all round on both of the pieces. So after hemming, this is what we have. Next, I folded them into 2 equal halves, and then I notched the center. So I'm repeating the same thing for this other piece. So next I will be placing the the ruffle piece on the center piece, matching the notch to the shoulder. So I'm going to make pleats all around like so on this end, and then pleats to this other end as well. I will do that and show you. And then after pleating, I will place the side pieces on top such that the plain fabric is in between the center piece and the side pieces. So I already labeled the pieces for front and back, so you locate where the front is and place it on the front side. The same for the back. So I've joined them together, and this is what we have, looking beautiful. So I didn't start the pleats all the way from the bottom. The pleats started around 8 inches in or thereabout. The pleats are mostly on the shoulder and a bit down, as you can see. So I'm going to iron them so they lay flat. So next I'm folding into two. This is the front side. I'm folding it into two. I will be applying the measurements I'm working with now before we join the upper piece together. So I folded into two here, making sure everything is flat. And then here I marked quarter of the waist measurement I'm working with. That's the half length round divided by 4. And then up here I am marking the bust measurement I'm working with divided by 4. So quarter of the bust measurement up here, and then using my ruler I will connect both points together. So next I'm turning it to the other side, and I'm going to be repeating the same thing. So like I said, down here I'm marking quarter of the waist measurement I'm working with, and then I will mark quarter of the bust measurement I'm working with up here, and then using my ruler I will connect both points together. So next I'm going to open it up into two, and then I like to cross check again to be sure. So from one line to the other I'm going to confirm if I have half of the waist measurement down and then half of the bust measurement up here. Say 4 is correct. I go on to pinning both the front and the back pieces together, right sides facing each other. So I'm pushing the ruffles out of the way so I don't sew on them. So as I'm pinning them, I'm making sure that the center front is sitting exactly on the center back. So I'm going to go sew on those lines, and after that this is what the upper piece is looking like. So next, to give the back some more fitting, I'm going to fold it into two. So I'm going to match the side seams together, and then the center back, and then on this center back I'm going to mark 1 inch in or 1 inch up, and then connect to the side seam. And I will be cutting that piece off. So after cutting it off, that will be all for the upper parts of this video. Thank you for watching. Please give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Share it with your friends. Leave a comment below if you have any question, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.